It is officially the NFL Combine Week, and Ryan Poles, the general manager of the Chicago Bears, is in Indianapolis, and he had a live press conference today. We're going to go ahead and react to it. Welcome to the reaction clause, where we lock into all things Chicago Bears football. This is the Ryan Poles press conference from the NFL Combine. Excited to hear what he has to say. Go ahead and hit that like button if you want to see more content like this. Without further ado, here we go. Ryan Poles, the GM of the Chicago Bears, press conference from the NFL Combine.
Has the opportunity to be a general manager, something we've talked about for a long time before we even employed by the Bears. It was our vision to climb through the ranks, get a seat, the GM seat, and then help the other one get to their position as well. So really happy for him. How we do that and why we do that has nothing to do with compensation whatsoever. I want to make that very clear. On the other side, there's a set of rules that were put in place that I think can be applied to this situation. So we've communicated through the right channels. So we'll see what happens as we move forward.
The Bears don't know if there are any compensation picks for Ian Cunningham yet. He's talking about his newly appointed position as general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. It is very confusing. Essentially, the rule says that if Ian Cunningham was the Atlanta Falcons' number one football decision maker in that building, that the Bears would get compensation picks. They have not been granted those picks yet. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm really fortunate to have Matt Feinstein. I think he's one of the best cap guys in the league. He gives us a lot of different scenarios for us to operate in, but also showing us the short-term and long-term effect of each one of those decisions. Because we want to stay in that sweet spot where we have maximum amount of flexibility as we move on, not only from this year, but 3 years down the road. I hope eventually to have a quarterback situation too, where we got to pay a young quarterback. So that comes into play as well. I think we're getting closer and closer to clarity.
The Caleb Williams deal is going to be crazy if they decide to do it. It could be coming this next season. It could be the season after that. He's got 4 years and the 5th year option. So it's coming soon. That Caleb Williams deal, if they feel like he's the guy, it's beneficial to the Bears to get the deal done. The longer they wait, they go years and years and years on, Caleb Williams can make a ton of money, and every single year, the price of the brick goes up. Every single year, quarterbacks get paid more and more money. You got to pay the guy at some point, probably sooner rather than later, to lock in a price that makes more sense for the Bears in the long term.
On that side of things, which helps us start to build those models to make sure that, again, we're doing the right thing for us moving forward, and we're not put ourselves in a situation where we got to make really, tough or bad decisions down the road there. Philosophically, I feel the same. It's going to be the best player available. I know that may not be the most popular thing.
It's not.
People see kind of.
It's not popular. It's not popular because the Bears have needs. The Bears have needs. They need a defensive line. So, no, it's not popular, Mr. Poles. I disagree with you. I think that the Bears need to pick for need over best player available. Now, if they pick for need over best player available, they don't end up with Luther Burton III, which is a brilliant move. I just don't understand how they're not trying to build up the offense and defensive line. That was what makes the most sense to the common people. That's what makes the most sense to me.
Like on my board, I have yellow tags where we need to fill in, but at the same time, I do believe, especially in early rounds like one, you really got to stick to the best player available. We saw that last year. I know there's a lot of questions like, you got Cole, why would you take Colston? I think we found out that it helped us along the way. So we'll continue to lean in that philosophy. I think and it sounds really simple, but you want to take a good football player that meets the criteria that you're looking for in terms of culture fits, play style, intelligence, all of those things. You really want to lean into that. I think sometimes you can get caught in flashy. You're trying to, that guy should have went in the top 15 and he slid because of this reason, but we'll fix that. And I
think that's a good mentality. I think that makes perfect sense. You don't just go reaching for the guy that's falling. There's a reason that he's falling. It doesn't need to be a flash pick. It needs to be a pick that makes sense for the Bears, and culture, it needs to make sense. They need guys who love football. They want guys who want to hustle the ball and hustle on offense with blocking when they're a skilled position player. I think this draft has to be about defense and offensive line. I don't know why they would go away from that. What do I know? It's at 25, though, so the Bears are going to have some options available. The premier left tackles will probably be gone. The premier defensive ends will probably be gone. So where does that fall? Does that fall into a defensive back, which they kind of need? Does it fall into a defensive tackle, which would be a great need if they get an elite-level defensive tackle at 25?
Maybe someone like Tyson's going to get some, interest. We've gotten a few calls there. Obviously, the tough thing is with, what Ben thinks about Tyson, what I think about Tyson, what our locker room thinks about Tyson. That's a really tough decision for us. But for Tyson as well, I think he would have an opportunity to go and perform for a team.
Ben Johnson said today that he believes that Tyson Bagent is one of the top 32 players or quarterbacks in the NFL, which would make him a starter. I think right now what their game they're playing is they're just trying to tell everyone how highly they think of him because they're ready to get rid of him. That's just me reading the tea leaves. I'm looking at this going, oh no, we love that guy. We love that guy. We don't want to get rid of that guy. He's a great locker room guy. He's a great player. Look at who he's being coached by, only to trade him for more higher value. So I think this is a little bit of a sell. I don't think that they are being as truthful as they can be. And maybe they do love the player, but I think that this is really them going, hey guys, we're open for business. We have a great player that we love and we don't want to get rid of him, but we're listening to what you have to offer. What do you have to offer for Tyson Bagent? We think he's a starter. Do you think he's a starter? Well, you better pay us in starting prices for a trade value. I think that Tyson Bagent is open for business. They're looking to trade him. They're working on it. They have a valuable asset as a backup position. They can have other guys be that position. If it's an asset that can be traded, you need the trade value and go get somebody, you go get them.
But again, you got to weigh the short term and long term. So now, what's the cost of replacement, right? To get someone like Tyson, we spent a lot of time developing him.
He's an undrafted free agent, man. He's an undrafted free agent. There's plenty of guys that can go get. You can get Jameis Winston. Why not? Why not a Jameis Winston? Why can't you bring him in there and have him go? I think an undrafted free agent, if you could go ahead and you trade him for a third-round pick, go on, see you later, buddy. Go do CrossFit in your new city. Arizona seems nice this time of year. The Tyson Bagent love, I think, is great. I think he seems like a good dude. If there's a lot of value for an undrafted free agent, go get rid of him.
And spent a lot of time developing him, so you got to replace that as well. So interesting dynamic there that we're going to have to work through. Anyone that's watched the league long enough knows that it's for the quarterback play is consistency. You can stack years on top of each other. So we still have steps to go here. I don't want to make it like he's already in. He knows he's got work to do. Ben's been very clear with the vision, and I know he's going to put the time in to get to that. But that needs to get to that point. But if all of that falls into place, again, I think we strategically have to understand how does that change our formula as we move forward and make decisions in the future. But for the organization, that's a great thing to be on that path. I feel like you have a long-term quarterback solution. It makes me excited. Obviously, he's excited. Ben's excited. So it's good for everybody.
It's going to be interesting. He's going to be expensive. Caleb Williams is going to be expensive. He's probably going to reset the quarterback market. He might be a $500 million player by the time they sign him. That sounds crazy right now, but the way these numbers are getting out of control, the way the cap keeps going up and up and up, you never know what's going to happen here. But Caleb Williams is going to be a very rich man in the NFL as long as he doesn't fumble the bag this next season. Bears know it. Caleb knows it. Ben Johnson knows it. The league knows it. You're going to have to pay him eventually.
I wouldn't say there's a pressure of the clock ticking. I think you want to take advantage of those opportunities to get as much talent on them.
I think there should be pressure of the clock ticking. You have 5 years to get it done. You do Super Bowl in 5 years, and then you can pay him and continue to build from there and figure out your new formula or whatever he's talking about. There should be pressure to win right now. They had the playoff year. That's fine. They are now entering their contender window. The building and the pressure is on. It should be on. You should be excited about the pressure. Go ahead and go get a Super Bowl, Ryan Poles.
That's blindside that quantity and that kind of quality as well.
Yeah, I think it's always possible. Things got to come together. That mindset was there from the day I walked in. But those opportunities, the clarity that we needed wasn't all there. So we were able to capitalize on some cool situations there through trade and free agency. I'm not sure how that's all going to line up.
The problem with the defensive line is they absolutely fumbled a couple of these picks. the couple of these signings. Grady Jarrett seems like a great locker room guy, not a very good player anymore as he was before. Dale gets hurt. He wasn't a good player before he got hurt. Montez Sweat really hasn't done much as a $100 million player, so he hasn't done a good job about picking out these defensive linemen that are effective, that are making plays, that are doing things that defensive linemen need to do, which I hope that he's aggressive and he goes and tries to get Max Crosby. But I'm betting here that he's going to be strategic about what is going on. He's not going to go all in and like that.
Now, I know from a cap perspective, we probably don't have enough to make all of that work.
There it is, right there. From a cap perspective, the cap's fake. The cap's fake. You just move numbers around. It's fake. It's a fugazi. It's fairy dust. It's not a real thing. It doesn't matter. You just move numbers around. You pay guys more money up front. Go on from there.
On the defensive line, I do think on our D-line, I think there's some situations, mostly injury, that didn't allow that to really come together the way it was supposed to. So I look forward to that happening. But we're also going to have to continue to bring talent in to create competition so that our defense can take the next step. But as it sits right now, I feel like the edge is deeper than the interior.
Edge is deeper than interior. That's an interesting thing to say. The edge is deeper than interior. How do we read that? Now, my only thing about it is that at 25, you'd imagine that the premier talented defensive edges are going to be picked in the top 15. The same thing with the left tackles. Caden Proctor's been out here, like floating down to 25. He's going to move up draft boards as we get close to the draft. This happens every single time. Will Campbell's a perfect example of that last season. Now, he didn't pan out in his rookie year, but he was down by the Bears earlier on in the draft process, and all of a sudden he starts creeping that week of the draft. Creep, pick number 4. So we'll see what this means. I know there's the Ohio State cat that's pretty good at defensive tackle, and that he's in that 22 to 27 range. So maybe the Bears are looking there. We'll see.
These guys have a lot to learn coming into this league. Simply as, it was just until last year you're throwing up a card, right, to put the play in for everybody, and they got to go in, and now
Caleb's struggles were at the beginning of this year and last year with the cadence. A lot of people blame Darnell Wright. It wasn't Darnell Wright's fault all the time. It was the cadence's fault. Got to get used to using the cadence. Caleb Williams always did a clap. Go. Whatever that is, right? Always in shotgun. A lot of development that has to happen at the NFL level to run these offensive schemes based on these gurus like Ben Johnson. We got a guru now, but those offensive coordinators in college aren't doing them any favors.
Oh, yeah. Financially, you can field the best team when that quarterback isn't taking up a massive piece of the cap pie.
And they're going to have to pay him. They know it.
When we first got Dennis in, it's really for all the coaches, position coaches, coordinators. They came in and talked about what they need, like what's the prototype. I knew from what Dennis was bringing, scheme change over the last few years, it was going to take a little bit of time to get exactly what we needed. But as you go through that season, you ask more questions. You're sitting in the weekly evals of our roster, all the way to last week here, and then go through their UFA stacks and inserting where our players line up in there, both guys under contract and not. You get more and more clarity as you go through.
Have clarity for what the defensive players and coaches want, what their prototype is, understand who Dennis Allen is, who he wants on his side of the ball. The problem is going to be is that they have a ton of money invested in the defensive line that just really isn't that productive. It's a glaring issue for everybody. Everyone sees it. But the problem is that there's money already wrapped in, and we talked about the cap, which I think is a fugazi, but in their world, right, they have to find a way to navigate how you pay these guys already under contract without giving them upfront money more to move it around, and how you get more guys in that can be more productive.
It's really tough, and I know I've talked about those tough decisions in the past. I think what changes is when you win, bonds and relationships get deeper, and knowing that right now we sit over the cap, like we got to make some decisions. If that's cuts, if that's trades, there's real relationships of people that gave it up for the Chicago Bears to advance our organization, and they may not be able to stay. And that sucks, to be honest with you, but it's what makes this league beautiful. It's why we're all here. It constantly gets shuffled up and moved around, and it's the challenge of putting together the best puzzle you can with different pieces. So really difficult. But that's what we signed up for. You got to make those tough decisions, and they are business decisions. You kind of try to take your emotions out of it and do what's best for the organization.
So there you have it. There is the Ryan Poles press conference, general manager of the Chicago Bears at the NFL Draft Combine. Last question was interesting. He was asked about Jaquan Brisker and what is going to happen to Jaquan. It sounded like to me that Jaquan's gone. I like the way Jaquan played. I think it's great for him, the player, that he was able to have such a great game in the Bears uniform against the Rams. He was all over the place, but it sounds like he's gone. And things we learned from today. Ryan Poles understands that you're going to have to pay Caleb Williams at some point. You can hear it in his voice. We also learned that they're going to keep picking for the best player available. Whoever that is at 25, that's what they're going to go and get. I don't know what that means in this realm of this team, because you can't pick a skilled player. I don't think. Maybe you could pick another wide receiver if DJ Moore's out the door. Maybe it could be a running back. I think it has to be a defensive player they're going to pick, but he says he's not going to target specific player. They also talked about the development of the quarterback going forward, about how the quarterback is not being developed the same way they would like it to be in the college game based on NIL and other things. Ryan Poles didn't really give us a lot. Maybe we know that Tyson Bagent is on the trading block. Maybe we know that, and we now know that Jaquan Brisker is on his way out. But that is the reaction clause. Comment below. Do you believe the Bears should sign Jaquan Brisker, the safety out of Penn State, or should they let him go? If you haven't hit the subscribe button, smash the subscribe button right now to lock into all things Chicago Bears football. This is the reaction clause. I am your host, Claus. Thank you for watching. Claus up, bear down, baby.